Rise and shine, beautiful souls. So listen, today we're going to have a very in-depth adult conversation, okay? Get ready. Have you ever heard the concept, spirits attract through sex, right? Have you ever had your grandparents, your family members, people around you tell you, don't go around just sleeping with any and everybody because spirits attract, right? Now, for many of us, this is hard to translate because when people say spirit, we automatically assume you're talking about a conscious, invisible being, supernatural being, right? Or essence, right? Because that's the definition of spirit. So for a lot of us, that just doesn't translate that people are carrying these conscious, invisible beings inside of them. And now they're able to be transferred during sex. And the way it's told is just be wary or be aware because spirits attract. They don't say what type of spirits, because we have negative names for spirits. We call them demons. We call positive spirits angels, right? This is our concept or our conceptual way of teaching. But when it comes to spirits attracting via sex, we don't say what types of spirits. We just say be aware, right? So are they good or bad spirits? What I'm going to try to do is bring some clarity to that. Before I do, I just want to say that I am full aware that there are people who are from different customs, cultures, religions, ways of life, and you may disagree with this based on what you've already been told or taught. I'm okay with that. My thing is listen, do a little research before judging and ridiculing, because this is going to be touchy. All right? Y'all ready for this? First, let me start off with a movie, okay, just to give you guys an idea where I'm coming from. Avatar, not the airbender, but the blue people, right? Avatar is a movie about human beings going to another planet to usurp their resources. To do this, they create avatars that look just like the bodies or the beings that live on this other planet, right? And this is so they can infiltrate them, so they can usurp their resources, learn as much about them as possible, right? Okay. There's one particular man who's on duty to do this also. And what he does, though, is he starts to realize the error of his human ways, that going to other people's planets or lands and usurping their resources is wrong. You shouldn't do that. And so while she's teaching him about her culture, nature there, and all these different things, he's literally being compelled by her, falling in love with her, right? With her and the world that he's now in. Now, mind you, he's in this avatar and she doesn't know that he's human because he's acting, right? He's a spy, sort of. Now she's explaining to him how her world works. So she takes him to this huge tree and she says that this tree is like basically their tree of life, right? And she was saying that they all exist within this tree, so to speak. And basically what she does is she takes her hair, and inside of her hair are these little things that glow, and she wraps it around one of the limbs, and she began to communicate with it. She says that the ancestors reside within the tree. She has him try it, and as soon as he does it, his hair thingies begin to wrap around the tree. He can hear chitter chatter, right? He can hear the ancestors, and you can see that he's blown away by this new discovery, right? And I want to use that sort of to have this conversation. Okay, just that simple idea, right? What were they trying to show us there? As you can see throughout this movie, when they were trying to interact or communicate with other animals, like say the way we would interact with a horse or a cow, any other animals that we use as tools, we domesticate our animals, right, through grueling practices, right, over the course of time, domesticating animals. But as you see on this planet, they simply just plug into it. They plug into it, communicate with it, and then it's up to the other being to choose if they are compatible with them, right? And it's instant, not domestication, which takes several years, right? Now let's deal with that. Now, why Avatar? The reason I use it is because it's more physical. It's not saying something is more spiritual. It's showing you more so on a level which my brain works better with. So this is why I want to have this conversation with you. Maybe it's not spirits. Maybe it's not these supernatural conscious beings living within our bodies that we transfer to one another via sex. Maybe it is deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA, simply DNA. DNA can be transferred, DNA alters, DNA evolves, DNA devolves, right? So based on who you're sleeping with, based on their vibration, their mindset, their DNA, all of these things can level you up or bring you down. You understand? Now, have you ever had sex with someone and you felt down the next few days, right? You felt like you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, couldn't get it right, seemed that your world was filled with drama those next few days? Or have you ever had sex with someone and you felt very enthused, very inspired the next few days? You woke up happy, right? Intrigued, joyous, right? Now, this could be linked to you taking in bodily fluids from the other person. And this is why I say DNA, okay? Let's just look up real quick. And that's why I say do a little research before you ridicule. A simple Google click can show you guys that there are benefits to sperm. Here's a simple Google click, okay? A benefit to sperm says that researchers have found that exposure to semen is good for women's health because of the mood-altering chemicals of this body fluid, okay? Earlier research has shown that these chemicals not just elevate mood, but increase affection and induce sleep, but also contains vitamins and antidepressants, okay? Now, let's go again. Another one says that scientists have discovered that a protein in semen acts on the female brain to prompt ovulation and is the same molecule that regulates the growth, maintenance, and survival of nerve cells. So as you can see, sperm ingestion aids in neurological benefits, okay, cognitive function, mood, right? As you can see, many different things, right? But let's just go on. A simple Google click. Again, this is what I typed in. Does vaginal fluid have any medical benefits for males? Here's what it says. Yes. Sexual fluids carry multiple bioregulating chemicals, or sexual fluids carry multiple bioregulating chemical structures that can increase both physical and psychological well-being. Wow. Ingestion is the most common way to receive benefit, but even contact with the mucous membrane can prompt positive reactions. Wow. Do you guys see this? Amazing, right? Simple Google clicks can show you that our body fluids can actually help one another, whether that be through sustenance, like as a man with a woman, or cognitive function, or all the benefits that you've seen with both, okay? This is just a simple click. So the more you guys do research on this, you'll see even more things. I found that men can actually be sustained through oral sex or the consumption of a woman's vaginal fluids. That's out of this world crazy, because that means that a woman could actually feed a baby through her breast and a grown man through her vagina, okay, which is saying a lot. So we're not taught this stuff. We're just taught simply what sex is and or whatnot. We don't learn all of this stuff. But as you can see, when you start to do a little bit of research, you can see kind of what our old heads was talking about. Now, they were using what they understood by using terms like spirit and things like that, but maybe they were on to something here. Okay, so I'm not doing this video to disregard any of their old teachings. What I'm trying to do is bring clarity to it. Maybe they had a point here, right? So now I'm going to use a scientist, because I told you this is going to be backed by fact, which means people have studied this stuff before, done experiments to see what they came up with. I just read to you some things what people have studied, okay? Not just coming from Kevin's mouth, but things I'm studying and looking at as well. All right, now I'm talking about my experience, both spiritually, okay, and experiences in the world, okay? And when I say spiritually, I just mean experience as far as things that are in my mind, things like thought. I call spirit things like that you can't see, like thought. You can't see thought, but yet we know it exists, right? So when it comes to meeting people on the same vibration, people who think like you, right? People who see the world the same way, have the same type of beliefs. Maybe you guys, or maybe we all, release a certain vibration, which attracts us to each other, right? You ever see someone and you feel attracted to them, right? But you may see someone else who looks just as good. You may say they're both an 8 on a scale from 1 to 10, but one of them you're just not attracted to, right? And so many of us, you can be in a room filled with people who look the same on an attractive scale, but you'll come out of that room only being attracted to one or a couple of them. Not all of them will attract you, right? And the reason for this is likely the vibration. And we'll say this, I'm not feeling his vibe, or I'm not feeling her vibe. I vibe with her. I vibe with him, right? We'll have these different concepts that we'll say. But let's deal with this through a scientific point of view. There's a scientist named Baxter. In fact, his study, or his theory, is named after him. It's called the Baxter effect. What Baxter did is he took some saliva from a former, who is now a former astronaut. His name is Brian O'Leary. He took some saliva from him, and he was to test this saliva throughout the day. Now, saliva outside of the mouth can last for about 10 to 12 hours. So this scientist is doing studies on the saliva while Brian O'Leary leaves, and he's going to take a flight. What this scientist Baxter discovered was that the saliva, or the DNA within the saliva, had certain reactions at certain times. And when he finally got with Brian O'Leary about it, it turns out at those exact times, he was about to miss his plane, experiencing difficulties getting on the plane, and even being late picked up from the airport. And it all was the same exact times that Baxter saw differences in the saliva. Now, that right there is crazy for me. Now, reading that, I learned, okay, so just reading that, here's my mind now. If, in fact, saliva can exist outside of the body, how long, for 10 to 12 hours, how long can it last stored, right? 5 years, actually, in room temperature areas. So how long could it last inside of a person's body, right? If saliva DNA in any way. Now, this is just saliva. We're not talking about sperm. We're not talking about semen at all. We're talking about just saliva. It reacted correspondingly, synchronized with O'Leary's moods as he was trying to travel, right? With his anxieties, if you will. That to me says a lot, okay? Because what does that say for sperm, right? If you're having sex with someone, or vaginal fluids, if you're having sex with someone and their DNA becomes inside of you now, maybe you are dealing with the emotions of the other person. If they're waking up on the wrong side of the bed, if they have a lot of drama in their life, maybe that's why you feel like you have drama in yours. If they wake up angry, maybe you wake up angry. Maybe you don't know the difference. And if you have multiple sexual partners, maybe it's even harder or more complicated now to figure out why you're going through this. But many of us can admit that we've had many emotions that we simply don't know where they came from. You wake up sad and you just simply don't know why. Nothing's wrong in your life, right? You wake up angry on the wrong side of the bed and nothing's wrong. But typically what happens is when we wake up on the wrong side of the bed, we find things to be angry about. And then that seems to be why we're in a bad mood. But we woke up like that. You know what I mean? Say I woke up like this, right? People often say that I woke up like this when referring to their the actual body. But anyway, that's something I wanted to have a conversation with you guys on, because when we hear our family members say this stuff, they even break it down to not even just sex, but people who you allow to touch your scalp or do your hair, people who you allow in your circle, period. And this is also on Avatar. Whenever she's inside the tree, she's saying that not only through connection can you actually communicate, but your being, like your vibration, communicates, right? So and we know this. We say one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch, right? And so if you guys go to a church or go to a club, if you see people excited, you can feel the energy, right? You can feel the same energy if you're in a church and you hear people like yelling and screaming in joy and running and they're dancing. You can feel their energy, right? Now, many people in those buildings believe that what they're feeling is a supernatural presence, but it is, in fact, the energy from the other people. And we do the same thing in clubs, right? Any type of exciting arenas, ball games, right? People feel the energy of other people, right? And so if this is true, being around a bunch of negative people can negatively impact you as well, right? Our bodies are like batteries. We're positive and negative. And so we're constantly putting out something, and you always have to ask yourself, what type of energy am I emitting at this moment? If people all around you are negative, if you can maintain a positive attitude, you can possibly convert those people over to being positive. However, if you're not that strong of a person mentally, they can convert you to being negative just like them. You can take someone who never complains, put them around a bunch of people who complain, and they'll begin to complain. Or if they're really strong, they'll begin to convince, not through trying to tell the other people not to be negative or to complain, but just by simply their lifestyle or their energy, people will stop complaining, right? It's crazy. So I wanted to have this conversation with you guys so you guys can think about this. When it comes to having sex, when it comes to sex, period, look at how we view sex. Most men, we look at sexual organs. In this culture, we look at sexual organs. We look at the face, the size of the butt, the size of the breast, We look at the face, we look at hair, we look at physical appearance and kind of decide whether or not we're attracted to a person. Well, in many other cultures, that is simply not what they do. Some people, it's based on scars on the face. It's based on a bowl in the lip, right? An earring. It's based on other things, right? That would tattoos. If many things turn other different cultures on because they're taught to be attracted to different things. So we can't say that it's natural to be attracted to someone physically. And this is why I mentioned that someone can be attractive to you, but you still may not have that connection or be turned on. You may find them attractive, but you may not want to be with them. You know what I mean? And so I think that if we were to really look at sex in a spiritual way, a powerful way, not a physical way, we would understand that it's something for replication. Like with nature, number one, DNA replicates. And so we would sleep with people that would create stronger beings genetically, right? We would evolve through sex, right? Or simply the mental aspects of a person, the attributes that a person displays, these are also found in genetics, right? How a person responds in life. This is in your genetics. So if a person has a really good way that they carry themselves, they're smart, they have a lot of qualities that you want in your child, you may want to pursue them for sex, right? Not just, oh, he's beautiful, or she got a fat ass. You see what I'm saying? It's got to be deeper than that. And simply, sometimes it's just a vibe. Sometimes you can be just around somebody, not even know why, but be completely turned on by this person, completely overwhelmed by this person. It's crazy. And a lot of these things we can't really truly explain. So what if it is the vibe of a person? What if it is the DNA of a person, the lifestyle of a person, the thought patterns of a person that's kind of bleeding through, and we just don't see that? You know what I mean? So of course we live in a culture where we're looking at the outward appearance of someone, but maybe it's deeper than that, right? Because even when you can see the outside appearance of a person, it doesn't dictate whether or not you're going to be sexually attracted to that person. You may just say they're good looking, but you may not want to have sex with them. But then someone who you may not find to be as beautiful physically, they may have you going crazy, right? What if it's your body, your biological body, having more knowledge than you, okay? Then your brain can understand, and this is why you simply can't explain it, because the knowledge is within your cells, not your brain, right? The same way, like your adrenaline kicks in. It's not kicking in on cue. It kicks in on its own. Our bodies are in charge of a whole lot more than we give them credit for. Right now, our heart is pumping blood and oxygen throughout our whole body, right? Certain parts of our bodies are digesting food. They're doing things that you're not mentally controlling them to do, right? And so the temperature of this car, the temperature of outside, I don't have to tell my body to tell me that temperature. My body automatically knows if it's cold or not, right? And so maybe the same way, you don't have to actually activate this or ask it to work, ask your spidey sense to tingle, so to speak. Maybe it just does. And because we were never taught that, we never looked at it that way. And we simply downloaded or the data that we were given first, right? Spirits attract, and we didn't look at it as something deeper. If this is true, family, it's telling you that diet, meaning what you consume and put in your body, also diet, what you listen to, what you put yourself around, the people that you put yourself around, can have a huge effect on you. Who you sleep with can have a huge effect on you simply based off who they are. You can have a huge effect on other people simply based off who you are. Maybe you'll do research on this and realize that if you are in a bad mood, you're in a rut, you've been depressed, out of it lately, it's probably not a good time for you to have sex, because you could pass that, right? Think about it. If a person displays a lot of negative attributes, maybe that's not a person you should be sleeping with, right? If we thought about life like this, what type of behavior would that yield? You understand? Just a thought. We will talk more about this later, but I just wanted to make a quick video based on this, because I mentioned it in a live, and many of you guys were asking me to make a little video about this so you guys could share it or whatnot. So that's it, family. I hope this brought a lot of knowledge to you. I hope it forced you to think a little bit, whether you agree or disagree. Like I say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. If you can relate, please let me know. If you disagree, that's fine. Let me know. I just ask that you guys be open-minded. Okay, do some research first before ridiculing. Okay, that's all. Be evolution. Be the change that you want to see. No candle loses its flame from lighting another. And if you were to ever find yourself in the middle of chaos, it is in that chaos that you will have found yourself. Peace.